food right now, animal fat. We have too much dioxin in our own bodies. By the way, we would not be able to sell food based upon typical risk assessments by the EPA. We have too much dioxin in our babies. We shouldn't be putting any more dioxin into the environment if we can possibly avoid doing so, and incineration is an avoidable source of dioxin. I have more things I could say about dioxin incineration, particularly about France, but I'll leave that for question time. Now, what you'll be told is you don't have to worry about incineration because we've got tough regulations. Well, you need three things to protect the public. You need strong regulations, yes, but you need adequate monitoring. And if you don't have adequate monitoring, those strong regulations don't protect you. For example, they only monitor incinerators for dioxin twice a year. What happens twice a year is, given a month's notice, a company will come in, put a probe in the flue gas, collect a sample for 6 hours, do that 3 times, and then analyze the filters to see what was happening. So you're using 36 hours of ideal data to extrapolate to 8,000 hours of operation. And if you think that that's good science, then you didn't go to my chemistry class. And finally, you need tough enforcement. If either adequate monitoring, if you don't have monitoring, and because there is no monitoring of nanoparticles, so we know that's not adequate. Incineration is very unpopular with the public. Between 85 and 95, 300 incinerators stopped in the United States. No new incinerator permitted since 1995. We're not out of the woods. There's a whole new slurry of incinerator proposals in Georgia, in South Carolina, in Minneapolis, and so on. We're not out of the woods yet. They're so unpopular with the public, they never use the word incinerator. They go jumping up and down if you use the word incinerator. Resource recovery facilities, waste to energy, thermal valorization, and so on. It's an industry that doesn't like its own name. And the latest phase is to call them gasifiers, pyrolysis, molecular dissociation. Every name under the sun except incinerators. There's a far better alternative that moves us towards sustainability. Linking zero waste to sustainability. I'm going to go through this very fast. These zero waste research centers become the university community laboratories for sustainability. So they can be feeding to an institute for zero waste and sustainability, which might be a national, international agency, researching for better industrial design and linking zero waste with other developments. Here's very quickly. You can link to sustainable agriculture with composting, industry with better industrial design, integrate with education with research centers, sustainable architecture with deconstruction, sustainable energy with anaerobic digestion, but most importantly, don't let government subsidize incinerators in the name of sustainable energy, because it ain't. Sustainable economic development, hundreds of green boxes I've already mentioned. Sustainable community development through those reuse and repair centers, recreating the village in the city. Back to the big picture. There are three things right now which are a huge threat. One is the exponential increase consumption of fossil fuels, the exponential consumption of finite materials, and the exponential expansion of what we think is necessary for a happy life. 1 television, 2 televisions, 3 televisions, 1 car, 2 cars, 3 cars, 1 computer, 2 computers, 3 computers, 1 planet, 2 planets, 3 planets. Okay, so the first thing is we need to solar energy to replace consumption of fossil fuels. The zero waste strategy, obviously, that fits in here. And finally, and most importantly, to change the concept and preoccupation with standard of living to quality of life. And then when we've done that, we have to separate, dissociate the quality of life from material consumption. So we want to see, and this to me is the single biggest challenge that we're passing on to our young people. We're saying to them, we want you to consume less, but we want you to have happier lives. That's quite a conundrum. It's going to be the most challenging thing out there. But you live in a millionaire's island. You live on one of the most beautiful islands I visited recently. You've got a good food supply. You've got an educated population. And I think you can probably do that. But it's a challenge. I don't suggest for one moment that's easy. We have to reduce. So the issue begins with reducing waste, and I've told you how easy it is to get to 70%. That's been demonstrated around the world. But after you've gone that far reducing waste, then we've got to turn around and start reducing consumption. It's not enough to get to zero waste. And to fight over consumption, we need to swap a life built around acquiring a series of objects to a life built around a series of expanding human relationships. We're talking about consuming less and enjoying more. And as far as young people leaving high school and college, we have to persuade them less money, more meaning. We want meaning. And sometimes getting a lot of meaning means you don't have to earn so much money. I don't earn a lot of money. I don't get paid for this. But I'm far happier than people that have 20 times more money than I do, because I have meaning. And one of the most meaningful things is talking to groups like you. I'm talking with the best people in the world here. I'm talking to the majority of people in this room tonight are not here to make money. They're not here to obtain power. They're here because they're concerned about their children, their grandchildren, and their community, and their island in this case. And that makes you some of the best, and it's a privilege to be able to share this experience with you, as I do all over the world. There was a slogan that we had in the 1960s. I became an activist in the 1960s in the Vietnam peace movement, make love, not war. But now we've got a war on waste, so we've had to slightly change that, make love, not waste. Now, as you get a bit older, it's a bit tiring. So I think make friends, not waste is the real message here. And I would say, thank you. I would say this is the good news for you. A threatened community is a strengthened community if people come together. If the result of this battle is to bring people together, rich and poor together, young and old together, it will be worth it. You will be stronger for this, and you will enjoy it. Iceland had a wonderful program. I don't know if it still goes, but they require you not to watch television one day a week. And I think we should think about that for the island. One day a week, you don't watch television. That day is reserved for people, not dead people on the other side of a plastic screen. Okay, back to this. Effecting change is like driving a nail through a piece of wood. And I'm trying to be humble about my own role here, because I've never stopped a single incinerator. The experts may sharpen the point of that nail, but no expert can push the nail through the piece of wood with their bare hands. You need the weight of public opinion, the hammer of public opinion to drive the nail home. And that's what you're here for. I don't have magic bullets to stop this program. But you've heard enough information that if you work together and actively and don't leave it to a handful of people to be your fall guys, and you all work together and you all go home tonight and thinking, what skills do I have and how can those skills be mobilized first to get zero waste for the island of Guernsey and then move on to a sustainable island. And my suggestion again is stop trying to solve your problem with magic machines and consultants. Set up a joint task force for sustainable Guernsey, local government officials with concerned citizens, and look for practical things that you can do together. 3 final messages. To citizens, don't let the experts take your common sense away. They will if they can. To politicians, put your faith back in people. We won't let you down. The one thing I'm absolutely certain about, having gone to 52 countries, is there's no culture in the world where people are the problem. What is a problem is a lack of leadership, a lack of political leadership. And I proved this in Italy. I said, look, you tell me in Italy we can't do it because it's a cultural problem. It's a cultural problem, Dr. Connett. I said, wait a moment. I can take you to 2 towns which are 3 kilometers apart. One town is getting 10% diversion, and the other town is getting 70% diversion. That's not a cultural problem. The culture doesn't change in 3 kilometers. What changes in 3 kilometers in that context is leadership. And that's what we're looking for here. And if you don't want be a leader, then resign and let somebody younger, more creative, with more imagination come in and do it.